Well, good morning, folks. I want to do this video. It's all on Saturday's No Kings protest, which I'm following up with today to see how they made their numbers. What were the statistics? Of course, they didn't make their numbers. Did they grow it by a few million? Sure. But it's all about brainwashing and institutionalization. I want to go through this entirely. It goes right across the board, left to right. I'm going through it here in Canada. I got a lot of Americans reaching out. I've had Americans comment, message me, and they see it. They see it with Canadians, and they just, wow, shake their head. I've got a childhood friend who's been to every major continent in the world in the last two and a half decades. He's been to so many countries. You've never seen a passport like his. He's seen the worst of humanity. He's seen the whole range. He looks at Canada now as he comes back up fairly frequently to visit, but he no longer holds official citizenship in Canada anymore. And he enjoys his life out in the world, in the best places of the world, has his family there. He loves it. But he's saddened too. He's saddened. He always follows my posts, follows my things, calls me, and he says, you know, Dave, it's the brainwashing. It's that Canadians are so busy, they can't focus. He deals with it with his own family. He tells me, look, I get my own family going cuckoo. I got to explain to them. They still don't listen. They don't get it. You're not going to reach these people. Which brings me to No Kings Day, okay? A radical left side of the Democrats, noisy. People say, oh, look, 7 million people got together in a country of a population of 341. Divide that by 10, you're at probably 900,000, which is no slouch, right? In a two-party system, that's an excellent showing across the country. There's no doubt about that. Heavily funded by great powers of socialists and fascists alike that would love nothing better than to have a king. Which brings me to Canadians who foolishly went to go participate in that. There was a Canadian who's now had his DNA collected. Moron. Think about it as a Canadian for a minute. You want to talk deep programming, deep institutionalization. You are a Canadian in a constitutional monarchy with a head of state that's a king. Do you know how moronic you have to be to go take yourself from Canada to join an American protest against a Republican president on No King's Day and say, I'm protesting the fact the president wants to be a king? Why don't you march your ass back to Canada, go camp out at Parliament and protest your prime minister and your whole parliamentary system of monarchy? Because yes, in fact, if you didn't know, and a lot of people still deny this, there's people who message me, new friends and followers, or even people who followed me from some time, that are so easily brainwashed. They go, Romana Dildo, I call her Dildo, I know it's Dilladoo, but she's a dildo, a Filipino dildo, not even from Canada, but yet goes around calling herself queen, and people fall for that. You have to be of epic low intelligence or deep mental illness. It's a combination of the two. Or traditionally, what I like to say is it's the brainwashing that the crown has done to you over many generations, and you can't see with your own eyes. You can't rationalize with your own mind. And it's universal across the board, much more infused in Canada. And notice how the No Kings protesters against President Trump are all in northern Democrat stronghold states. in the north border of Canada, the Great Wall of institutionalization, the Great Wall of British propaganda to stifle America, to snub it out. That's what you're created for. That's what your Constitution's for. There's a reason why only the private property is all along the American border. You're the Great Wall of China. Always have been, always will be. It amazes me in such an Arctic, terrible climate, people are bawling and complaining about property values for small lots that can't even support a house of more than $250,000 to well over $3 million. You can go to BC, you'll find $3 million small lots, unsustainable for any kind of home dwelling like a house. And that's normal. That's not normal in the United States. You can't find anything like that in even the crazy northern states who have that taxation without representation mentality at these big municipal levels. You can't find that anywhere to match you. Toronto has long since, and GTA has long since surpassed New York. Long since surpassed New York. You don't even want to look at Florida. I've got a fresh round of property listings in Florida I look at, and it weighs heavy on me when I go, wow, I could go buy a house in Florida. I could, easily. But yet in Canada, that's a dream. That's a unachievable goal. I'd have to maintain $250,000 income for the next 5 years and save half of which, even though half of which is taken by taxation. This is the patheticism of Canadians in complete and utter brainwashed denial. Do you think it's just the fact that Canada has a king and Canadians can't rationalize that, but are ready to run across the border or pick up their own No King's Day signs, but yet their autocratic dictator, whomever they elect, who runs in the fashion of the crown and at whatever bequest and call the king makes of Canada, they capitulate. Did you know every war we've ever fought in is always at the leadership of the UK? We've always been cannon fodder. It doesn't matter how many Canadians you tell the truth to, that Newfoundland has lost entire towns of their male population to great wars of this country. At the bequest of UK, send in the Canadians, send in the Newfoundland regime. They were last to enter Confederation. They thought they'd be independent. Execute their mentality first. Those are rebels to the cause. That's what we got in great wars. Americans have no idea. They have no idea what it is to be under a monarch without sovereignty. And how could they? They've enjoyed many generations, 250 years, many generations of we the people systems where you're allowed to rise up against your government. You're lucky to be allowed to host events like that, taking over entire small towns of population of 2,000. Yes, I've read all of Hunter Thompson's work, the late Hunter Thompson, and many more since him and other civil rights protesters. Do you know what happens in Canada when you try to take over public property in some provinces? You get a SWAT team. That's what you get. In Alberta, nobody, I repeat, nobody tries to pull any of that because you get the firm hand of government and you're all cited more than $10,000 in fines, arrested and fined more than you're worth. That is a dictatorship. That is something Americans could never, ever rationalize in their wildest dreams. You have no idea. But that's common reality in Canada, and Canadians can't rationalize it. Right now, Albertans are trying to get a petition for Alberta independence. I'm getting hammered with you bastard, you liar, how do you know? When the guy who registered the petition, his name is Mitch Silvestri, he registered the petition with Elections Alberta. I'll tell you what we know, because he did an interview with the National Post and said he's struggling to get his numbers. They're not at their 177,000, which is a greatly reduced number than what the original folks had to do before Danielle Smith, Premier of Alberta, reduced the requirements and extended the time. If you can't rationalize in your own brain of thinking that Alberta Forever Canada folks who want to keep Alberta forever in Canada and are seeking legislation, provincial legislation, that's the petition drive they went for, that if they win a majority in their referendum, they want to make it forever impossible for Alberta to leave Canada. This is not a small thing, because that would be provincial legislation barring every future generation from ever entertaining independence. And I'll tell you why it's important. People are ramming at me, going crazy, just like all the brainwashed far left Democrats on No King's Day over Iran that wanted to make and launch nuclear weapons as they see fit, as a non-proliferation country with a law that's been enacted since 1973. For all you lunatics out there, and I know a lot of them are silently in the background, do you not understand that any country launching a ballistic missile doesn't have to hit you? They can launch it into space over your region before you intercept, set that bomb off like an EMP, and wipe out all your electronics, all your power, all your vehicles, your home, you're silenced, your phones, everything fried. Then they can follow up with volleys. If you didn't know, Iran shot a ballistic missile, intercontinental, ICBM. One, and they probably got it from Russia. Russia's got a pile. USA's got a pile. They've got a pile. Russia has space platforms, no different than America's Space Force. Russia's got them too. If you didn't know, just 5 years ago, Russia put up the first one in Alaska, a space platform to launch nukes. Right there on USA, Arctic, Canada, all of it. They also have a nuclear submarine called Poseidon. They can come through the Hudson Bay down through to the Great Lakes. They could blow up Canada's nuclear plants. It wipes out all of the eastern seaboard. There goes New York, Minneapolis, all the No King's Day protesters. They can send a wall of poison radioactive water. Then you're going to have meltdowns that will poison and affect all of the eastern seaboard and some of the northern Midwest. Yeah, that would be Minneapolis too, folks. Absolutely most of Canada, at least one half of Canada. That's just what Russia could do any given day of the week. Never mind that they could launch nuclear bombs, hit a pile of America. Even though America can intercept a lot, they wouldn't get them all. Not the hypersonics. And I'll tell you, when you launch like Russia's capable of, many thousands, do you understand that it only takes a dozen or so to hit? And you're talking millions of lives gone, billions of square, it's not billions, millions of square kilometers of land, many hundreds of thousands of miles of square land, off limits for the next 1,000 years. People live in delusions. They live in a world where they don't want to believe that there are crazy people out there that are capable of such acts in the name of some delusional self-entitlement as a god. Did you not watch Iran attack all of its surrounding Islamic neighbors? Did you not watch that? That's the mark of crazy. Someone who's willing to kill innocent civilians for no rhyme or reason, but just to show that my authority listened to me or else. Of course, it didn't work. USA was ready. USA's at the higher tech. They were able to neutralize most of it. The casualties are very small. People sit there like, oh, 1,500 people gone, most of which were military, shooting these missiles, firing off at these platforms and launchers, and they were wiped out immediately after. The first few days of the war were many hundreds of missiles by Iran. They're down to 1 or 2 every other day. What does that tell you? They're wiped out. If you don't know, Russia and China have been voting against Iran for more than 14 years in the UNSC. I'm going to tell you some other things that Canadians don't understand. Albertans. We're going to go now from the far left. We're going to go to the far right perspective. I'm going to tell Albertans something who feel empowered, feel glorious. I don't want to listen to rhyme or reason. I don't want to look at the truth. I'm just like the lunatic left because we're all brainwashed and institutionalized. There was Ambassador Pete Hoekstra. He did an interview with Ezra Levant, Rebel News media guy, a guy I've known for a very long time. If you didn't know, he's been in news for a long time on that far right, if you want to call it that. I don't call it far right or far left. I get into the up and down scales, but we'll just stick with far right because that's what people understand. He's been around a long time. He was a conservative insider and media journalist for the Conservatives forever, a big supporter of Conservatives all along. Then they ousted him out of the party. He does an interview with Ambassador Pete Hoekstra, and he says this. A lot of people, I talked to Benjamin Ebley, who's an American, they get it. They understand what Pete was saying. But I'm going to tell all of you, because Americans look at this stuff, Canadians don't. But I'm going to tell you the truth here. So George W. Bush, okay? George W. Bush, President of the United States, back in, did a two presidency run back to back. He got his 8 years. There's particular years, 2004 to 2007. And yes, he was President of the United States for Alberta, for massive Alberta oil expansion to the United States under Ralph Klein. This is that period, 1993, all the way up to the end of Ralph Klein, 2006. A big portion of projects done through George W. Bush because he was senator first. He did a lot of that in the late 90s. Alberta started ramping up 96. By 98, had 2 major oil field projects, all for the benefit of the United States with all American financing. Well, along comes President George W. Bush, folks. So I'm going to tell you about Ambassador Pete Hoekstra, our ambassador from USA to Canada, Toronto consulate. There's consulates all through Canada. You watch Pete Hoekstra go all over Canada, doing interviews in every province, talking to folks. He does an interview with Rebel News, Ezra Levant, who point blank says to him, says, hey, Ambassador Pete Hoekstra, we want to build pipelines. We want to send 2 million barrels of oil out to China. Would you support us out to the Pacific, out to Asia, to China? Now, Pete talked about the pipeline. Oh, sure, first it was to USA. Yeah, USA could use that oil. Yeah, USA would be interested in that. But then he goes on to say, hey, we'll go out to the Pacific and out to Asia. Would you support that? And he says, America would definitely be interested in having that conversation with you. That wasn't USA's going to do that. In fact, if you don't know anything, I'm going to tell you a story, a true story, that only institutionalized people refuse to see, which is almost all concerned Albertans today. conservative Albertans just as deeply institutionalized and out of touch with reality as it really is. So George W. Bush is the senator and then president who made Alberta, during the time of Ralph Klein, major oil and gas. Oh yeah, with promises and guarantees. President George W. Bush appointed a committee head of intelligence, foreign intelligence. Do you know who that man was? That man was Pete Hoekstra, our current ambassador to Canada. This is free for people who don't like to read, okay? And maybe there's consequences or not. I don't know for me to give this, but I'm going to give it to you. So there's many committee reports, and there's many committees, Democrat, Republican. This is a Republican committee during the time of George W. Bush. From 2004 to 2007, Pete Hoekstra as committee head and chair of intelligence. Okay? This is CIA, high-level ranking individual. Very smart, psychologically smart individual. You know, big CIA stuff, right? Do you know what their reports and mandate were during those times? To shut down a number of Chinese companies trying to secure oil all over the world. Do you know what country they were working through at that time to shut China down and shut Sinopec, CHOOC, Chinese state-owned oil? They shut them down in Venezuela. Shut down Venezuela. Okay? Finito. All off those reports. That was the work Pete Hoekstra was in charge of for 3 straight years. That's the time period, the end of Venezuela. Do you get it? Do you get it? Ezra Levant goes on, and Pete Hoekstra takes a moment, keeps his composure. He's a trained master like CIA, high level, and he's your ambassador, and he's listening to you conservatives talk to him openly like Venezuela 2004, like somehow you're going to send 2 million barrels of oil to China, like Venezuela, right? Yeah, we're going to build the Chinese military complex against you who developed all our oil fields, our massive Alberta holdings. You did under George W. Bush, first senator to the great and late Premier Ralph Klein, who promised those reserves for America forevermore and got all the investment, just like who? The years before, Venezuela. But of course, it's not enough. Greed and corruption take over, no different than Venezuela, right? And now you're sitting there talking to the ambassador and you say you want, just like Venezuela 2004, you want to send all that oil to China. Let me tell you what companies own what in Alberta. Did you know that more than 30% now of your natural gas and oil holdings, proven companies? I could list those companies. I'm not going to because it's going to cause trouble. But I know people will know. You should know if you're an Albertan. China's got 30% investment in those companies. This is CHOOC, State Oil China, same company that they worked to destroy in Venezuela in 2004 to 2007. Pierre Poilievre and Stephen Harper signed a China-Canada FIPA deal and secured all those holdings by 2011 after George W. Bush. They went on to sign on with CHOOC and Sinopec. They've got massive shares, massive holdings in all of your oil and gas. You did exactly what Venezuela did. And not today. You did that under Stephen Harper and Pierre Poilievre. Right now, under Liberals, Conservatives, and NDP, yeah, that's right, under Mark Carney, Danielle Smith, and David Eby, you're sending mass amounts of LNG, draining your natural gas fields in Alberta. You want to drain them within the next 10 years so that nobody in Alberta has any natural gas or anybody else in Canada has any more natural gas. You're going to send massive millions and millions of liquefied tankers cryo tankers to China against the United States of America. You're also trying to get up to 2 more million barrels a day, which Ezra Levant floated through, and Pete says, yeah, we're interested in having that conversation. He didn't say we're interested in doing that because it's contrary to all the work that man's ever done. Again, as head of foreign intelligence, who's now your ambassador, they set all the policies that destroyed Venezuela for trying to do the same thing. But don't worry, right? It's totally different. It's okay. It's conservatives. You call them far-right conservatives. They're just like Republicans, right? Because Republicans love to strengthen China, right? Against the United States of America. That's deep, deep institutionalization. That's game over. Jean Chrétien, 6 months ago, I talked to Americans last night. I've been talking to a lot of Americans and trying to stay away from the Canadian brainwashing. Not loyal friends and followers, but you're seeing it on my feeds. You're seeing it with Alberta independence. People who can't rationalize or understand that the Stay in Canada folks are 2-1 on signature drive right now. Mitch Silvestri, not me, publicly struggling to get the signatures. We're almost tit for tat on the same days. Less requirements and extended time. That does not bode well for absolute yesers. Absolute yesers should already be done. The Stay in Canada folks were completed by week 7. This does not bode well in numbers for Alberta independence. Literally 2-1. 2-1. If there was 250 to 500,000 signatures, they would have those in right now to be ready for the October referendum, because there's all the weeks of screening. There's the financials to go over. I know how this stuff works. I ran an election. I know how elections Alberta works. You don't waste any time if you don't have to. The only reason why you're taking the next 30 days is because you haven't met the signatures. People keep telling me, you don't know what the numbers are. I know what they're not. I know the numbers are not at 177,000. I just start at that baseline. I say, okay, then they will achieve it in the next 30 days, or they will meet those numbers, and maybe 250,000. I go over that. But that we know today they don't have the numbers. Mitch Silvestri published that. They don't have the numbers, but they believe they're going to have them by May 2nd. Those are not my words. That's Mitch Silvestri's. If you can, and he's the one who registered the petition, he's in charge of it, absolutely, registered with Elections Alberta. But Canadians, Albertans don't want to see that. Just like they don't want to see that sending 2 million barrels a day of oil to China is going to get you with the United States of America. That is you on a collision course with the same repeat history of Venezuela. Did you like what happened to their dollar? Did you like how displaced the people became? Where do Canadians run when they can't cross the U.S. border? Where do Canadians go when there's a military force across the northern border to catch you, snow Mexicans? And they have to do that because now you're dangerous on the world's largest uncontrolled border, right? Mass illegal immigration with all your mass illegals according to American law. All your mass immigration. and everybody running to the USA on a much bigger border than Mexico. Do you think Americans are dumb? Do you think Democrats are really that stupid? Because they're not. Their reports are even more indicting than the Republican reports. Did you know Barack Obama was smashing Canada? Reported all this stuff after George Bush? Did you know, same thing, first Trump administration? You think Trump's tough now? He's double what he was in the first term. As Joe Biden doubled down on Donald J. Trump, who in his first term doubled down on Barack Obama, who doubled down on George W. Bush. They're all running the same program because they're the same committees. The committees don't change. America's always been this way. The president takes those checks and balances and goes with it. It's not a radical presidency or what's wrong with this guy. It's that they hold a veto over Congress. They both have checks and balances against each other. And they do the work. They're not lazy politicians. Not like Canada's lazy, filthy, sloppy, no good politicians. These are people who go to work every day and take their jobs and take America seriously because they love their country. And they do that. They do the work. Canada's in big trouble. Big trouble. And the big trouble is that we're so programmed to believe in all the crap that people are getting radical now. I'm seeing it across the board. Of course, I've always seen the left, but I'm seeing new heights to the radical, crazy Canadian conservative. Sharing and making fake Trump truth social posts. You're all seeing it. They're coming out literally by the half a dozen a week now. Trump said this. Trump said that. He said Mark Carney's bad, Pierre Poilievre good. No, he's never said that. He would never say that. Because the committee reports, the intelligence reports, don't support that. They don't support any of your political politicians. And probably especially conservatives, because they lie about who they are. They lie about the fact they're the ones who enacted the Canada-China FIPA deal. They did that as soon as Pete Hoekstra was terminated and George Bush's 2-year term ended. In comes Barack Obama, where they thought they had him fooled, and they continued on all these expansions unabated like, oh, Barack Obama doesn't care. We can do this against America. No, he smashed Canada too. We started losing our trade. In 2008, we lost for the first time in Canadian history since 1948 the rotating UNSC seats. Canada always won them. Did you know that? We've always won them as a founding ally member. We've always won them. We've never, ever lost. Until what year? Oh, yeah, Stephen Harper, 2008. Now, that went on 8 years. Stephen Harper never, ever got a seat in both terms of office. In comes Trudeau, brags out, we're going to get it. He went out there on a big bandwagon. We're going to return to the UNSC. You know what he got? He got it both with Trump and with Biden. Stephen Harper got it from Barack Obama. Canada, you're fucking finished. Every single presidency, every single committee report, Democrat or Republican. This is called brainwashed and institutionalized, that you Canadians can't rise above and see the truth. You can't rise above the propaganda fed to you like a bowl of shit where you scoop it up and you eat it and you go, yummy. No, you're lying. My crown told me. No more King's Day in America, but it's okay in Canada. It's just symbolic. Are you insane? Why do you think they grab Canadians at the border and register their DNA? Because they got to know you are a mental fucking retard, crazy lunatic, full of mental illness. There's something wrong with you when you come from a constitutional monarchy, bound to a king, oath bound to a king, a superior human being, and you have the audacity to walk in the United States and say, I'm going to protest against your president. No more King's Day. Well, get your filthy fuck ass out of here. You go march in your parliament against Mark Carney. No more King's Day, you fucking idiot. What do you think you're in? Oh, it's not real. It's not true. Are you stupid? You've got to be a mental midget. But again, this spans everybody. It goes across to the separatists, both Alberta, Quebec. It goes to the far reaches of the Conservatives. Pierre Poilievre, yeah, elbows up. Mark Carney, elbows up, yeah, communism. Canadians are finito, man. I don't think people understand what's transpiring here. Mexico's been negotiating their deal for the last 6 months. Canada, you haven't even entered negotiations. You're already out of time. You had to be in these negotiations for the last 6 months. There was a due date on that. Your government blew past it. That means this won't be renewed, and it's going to be an annual assessment of you every year. And USA is going to make major demands. And when you don't meet them, they're going to hammer you with sanctions, slowly weaning America and their supply and value chains off of you towards other countries. Like right now we're witnessing at mass scale the new America-Japanese deals that you lost. That's key to your security. Your tertiary industries are rapidly disappearing. You've lost every high-tech sector. You blame America, the mean American President Trump. If we just got a new president, it's not going to change those committee reports, and it's not going to change the committee reports that are made this summer by, again, who? Both Democrat and Republican committees, 50-50. It doesn't matter who's in power. This is the mental midgetness of Canadians. You can show them in their face, hey, look at this. Just like the Alberta petition drive. Hey, look, you haven't made the lesser requirement in almost the exact same time frame. It's the Stay in Canada folks who clearly outpaced their much higher required signature drive by a lot much earlier. That tells you that the taste for it is much, much less than the Stay in Canada folks. How do you know we got 1 million signatures? I have never seen a single video of 10,000, let alone hundreds of thousands of people for Alberta independence. I've looked at videos, oh yeah, lineups here, oh Alberta, Calgary, Edmonton. There were no many mega blocks. I know because in 2007 I did a wildcat strike. I know what 10,000 people looks like. I know what taking over the courthouse downtown looks like. I know what taking over the parliament looks like. I know how many people that takes. I know, I lived it, boots on the ground. I haven't seen any videos of anything even remotely close to that. I haven't seen 10,000. Hundreds of thousands would be many blocks filled. Many blocks filled. Streets filled, many blocks. You'd have aerial photos. Holy shit, the downtown core, 10 square blocks, plus all parks and property, completely flooded and taken over. That would show an Alberta independence success in a major city like Edmonton or Calgary. Then you'd have a leg to stand on. Not single file, double file lines, or look, the front of the parliament's filled. Yeah, that's great. You got a few thousand people today. That's great. In a population of over 5 million, that's shit. That does not bode well at all. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. It really doesn't. And it's not to be mean. It's the same thing as these no king protesters. You've got a fucking king. Open your eyes and look at your own country. Why are you worried about the actions of that president when that's the exact system you're ruled under every day of your life? Moron. You got to be some kind of idiot. And to prove how much of an idiot, the Americans took that guy and took a sample of his DNA because he's a psychopath. You got to be a nut job. Wouldn't you be scared? Why are you protesting no kings in America with a We the People republic and a democratically elected president? Why would you come from a monarchy to protest a president for No King's Day? That's a special kind of mental illness. That's an institutionalized crazy. That's the kind of people CIA say, that's a programmed merc. That's some kind of sick sleeper nutcase. These are people who are like terrorists. This guy's dangerous, probably. What would you call it if you're a normal, rational thinking American? Never mind Secret Service or ICE or anybody else. You're going to say, that takes a special kind of crazy. Like, that's serious mental illness. That's how they're going to look at it. I know it to be true too. But yet Canadians, oh, no, it's not like that. Yeah, that's exactly like it is. Folks, that's my video. There is mass institutionalization in Canada, far beyond left-right scales, because we're all up here in autocracy. People lie to themselves, don't want to believe it. We've got conservatives at a desperate point, desperate and brainwashed, that need to make up stories, make up memes by the boatloads about Donald J. Trump supporting their conservative narrative. That is the most desperate and pathetic thing I've ever seen, when you need to steal the identity of a foreign leader and supplant that into your base to pretend, to lie, to fabricate, because that's all Canadians know to do. Because reality is too much to bear. I can't be bothered to actually address my own domestic issues. I can't have the personal responsibility and accountability to change a broken and flawed system. I can't. So I won't admit it. I'll lie to myself. I'll deny. There's nothing wrong with me and the system I live with. It's everybody else. There's the delusionals, the people who blame, it's the UN, it's this mega corporation, it's everybody else except the people who have full control over me, legislate all the laws I live under. We can't blame them. Liberal, conservative, NDP. We can flip-flop the windshield wiper blade. We can compulsively lie and keep pointing to all these bad actors all over the world, except for deal with our domestic politician that we elected and the many that they appoint. We can't face it. That's a broken, unaccountable, irresponsible system that does not work. Because that would mean we're in a shit country. We can't have that. We need to live the lie. So we make up fake media, fake social media, fake memes, steal identities of key figures, and we propagate, just like we were taught by those same politicians. There's nothing wrong in Canada. It's everybody else. If the world would bend to our will, us 41 million people out of 9 billion, if the world would just capitulate, we'd be okay. It's everybody else's fault. It couldn't possibly be ours, and our inability to address the flawed system we live under. Let's just continue what the politicians taught us, what we've learned since birth, to compulsively lie, deny, twist and bend reality to suit our needs of the day. Everything will be okay if we just continue to lie to ourselves and lie to everybody around us. Yes, I love the lie. Let's continue the lie, because that's going to work, right? Being a compulsive liar will work. It will fix itself if we just continue the lie. Man, scary times indeed, scary truth that's always been here, and it shows just how desperate both liberals and conservatives, especially conservatives, are now, because rampant lying, which has always been a point out of the radical left, apparently the lunatic left, but it's okay when the right does it, right? Which means we're all up here. And we can't possibly come down here to we the people. We can't do this. We can't do that. No. That would mean reality. I can't do it. No, I'm going to live in denial. I'm going to live the lie. I'm going to participate in the crown propaganda. I'm going to be the propaganda. Terrible times indeed. It is massive draining, folks. It does drain the living life force out of me like you wouldn't believe. For Americans who watch, Americans who know me well, have met me along my journeys, these are the points in time where I need to get the hell out of Canada for a while, and I know that. I wish I could make that part of my next holiday, but it's for my kids, and I still can't get out. My kids give me great strength too, but I know this summer there has to be some me time, because this kind of stuff, when you live in the institution, when you live in the prison, it wrecks you. It wrecks you. Walking around with the inmates, it wrecks you. It wrecks you here. It wrecks you here. And, that's just reality. Do you think it makes me happy when I post about my own province, my own works in my own province, and I get literally dozens and dozens of comments? Fuck you, asshole. No, you're a liar. How do you know? Fuck off, prick. And it's like, the guy who organized and registered your signature drive, the guy who runs it, stated this in an interview 2 days ago. These are not my words. And if you think that any experts don't extrapolate off of what they said and take their word as it's probably the truth, otherwise, why not register your overwhelming signature drive right now, right? And of course, there's a reason why I didn't, because they haven't met the signatures. And when you look at the last group to stay in Canada, they had their drive done in 7 weeks. Just continued on to make sure and get many more times the required signatures. Because yes, 40-some thousand of those signatures were denied. And people tell me propaganda. Elections Alberta, which I know very well. I know them very well, very reputable, very good people. I did an election, went through their boards many times, answered all my questions. They all liked me. And you know what? I know they probably liked Mitch Silvestri too, as they liked Lusick before that, and everybody else before that. They list every registry for you guys. You've got a problem when the folks Alberta stay in Canada forever, outpaced you by large margins. That does not bode well for a referendum or for the fact that you're going to win that referendum. It's great to get the referendum in, but what does that do if you're under 20%? Even at 20%, that's going to be a nail in the coffin. This is the Albertans who say, we need to follow the Canadian model that we're trying supposedly to get away from. Why wouldn't you follow the other 83 nations in the world since World War II that are actual registered countries? Do you think they did a made in their country model, or do you think they went through international law and the United Nations Security Council? Guess how many made in their own country or their world got independence and registered country status? And how many do you think of the 83 went through UNSC international binding law and got status as a country? Whoop, 0 and made in their country or region or territory. 100% got country status following the United Nations Security Council and international binding law. This is not myth, this is fact. But yet, Albertans and Quebecois say, oh no, the model that we supposedly can't stand, the model we seek independence from, is exactly what we're going to follow to a T 100% to gain independence, even though since 1945, there is not one worldly example to support that. Zero, zip, zilch, never happened. So then I have to ask the question, right? Because these are supposed to be at least intelligent enough people to read history, to at least do the work that, how do you get legal independence in the world? How did we move from 52 countries to the 193 today? How did that happen? There's your answer. 83 times. How is it done? Through the United Nations Security Council. Did you know that every country that didn't do that is either one, no longer a country, usurped and destroyed by other countries, or in limbo? Because there's actually 215 would-be countries, only 193 are actual countries. The other are all in limbo. And do you know why they're in limbo? Fuck the United Nations. We don't recognize you. We're going to do it ourselves. How's that been going? I can tell you more than 80% of those have been around since 1945. Some have their territories completely off limits to them. Check out Cyprus. Greece, what? Yeah, and they're not alone. And that was the world's oldest democracy, fools. But you don't know what you're talking about. I'm Canadian. I know everything. I'm Albertan. I'm Quebec. I know everything. You're a liar. Liar. What do you think the rest of the world thinks of you when they see your comments? What do you think Americans who sit back? I can tell you a man from Kentucky goes on and he goes like this: I wouldn't let any of you near America or into America. After what I've watched here, never. That's how most Americans feel. It's really sad. And do you blame them? Do you blame them when they're watching adults, critical thinking, can read and write adults, who would even sacrifice their own children for their crown and yet turn around and deny they even have a crown? That is insanity beyond insanity. And Americans looking at that in a good bulk say, these people, knowing what they know, would let their kids go down the toilet? What kind of parent are you? What kind of human being does that make you? That's my video, folks. Share, get it out there or not. I know already. No, fuck you. I won't listen. I know you big head and you think you know everything. Well, it's different for us. We're special. You're not fucking special. I'm not special. Nobody's special. But the difference is truth. It's who's prepared to wipe away the illusion, wipe it away, and look at the world as it really is. That's all I've ever tried to do. That's all I do is grow, achieve, learn, get stronger. Knowledge is power, and I try to give that to everybody. In the face of the illusionists, the brainwashed, the institutionalized. No, give me the mud. All over the window. No, you can't see it anymore. See, if I can't see it, it's not real. I got you. I fooled you. Fuck you. And you can see the emotion in these people. They go right off the charts. Yo, fuck you. You fuck you, cocksucker. Right? You see it. It's all in my comments. go crazy. You're a liar. Fuck you. Shut up, asshole. And it's like, why is your response to immediately turn into a 4-year-old child? This is an adult. These are people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, going off the chart crazy. Like, what's the matter? Did I just wipe away the mud on the window and you can now see out of it? And right away you got to grab a big pile of mud. Yeah, fuck you, and smear it all over. There, it's even darker than before. I'm safe, I'm wonderful. If I scream loud enough, if my tantrum's big enough, you'll quiet you, you'll shut your mouth. I hate you. That is a child's reaction, not an adult's. And you know what? Temper tantrums all you want. It's not going to change the outcome of the United States of America and Canada. You can't wait this out and think things are going to get better. You might as well take a time machine, shave your head, grab your cloth rags, and march your ass onto the boxcar with the Jews of Nazi Germany. Because they did all that too. No, it's not true. No, we're going to a better place. You've lost your home, all your belongings. You don't even have shoes on your head. They've shaved your head. You're starving, you're frail, you're weak, you're sick. You don't know where any of your family are. And now you're moving from a concentration forced labor camp on a train where you see smoke billowing in the air. Talk about frog in the pot. This is where most Canadians are. Left to far right and everything in between. Most are there in clear mass majority. And I hate to say it, all Americans from all aisles see you as you are. You don't want to see yourself. They're seeing it. Benjamin Ebley runs the Alberta 51st State Movement. Got thousands and thousands of Americans in there now. And boy, oh boy, I've got a few hundred. He's got thousands and thousands. He's American. And they go, not these lunatics. Not even prepared to do what it takes. Oh no, I renounce all, I want all these things. But I'm going to go with my crown and follow the crown system because that's going to work. Wow. New level of crazy. Folks, that's my video. Share. Get it out there. Bye now. Love you all.